everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we talk about all things homesteading, homemaking, and the journey to a slower, more simple life. In today's video, I am going to be making and canning pickles. If you have seen some other videos, you would see that I've been harvesting a good amount of cucumbers from my small little garden, and they're behind me here. Ta-da! I got a good amount of cucumbers. So here is all the cucumbers I have so far, and I can't eat all these, so what I'm going to do is preserve them up. I am planning to first make a bread and butter pickle. I am going off of a recipe from the official Ball book, and I'm going with the traditional bread and butter pickles recipe first off. Just a couple canning tips for anybody who is super new, and I'm pretty new myself, but two things I will say. Pickles, I know the question will be, can you pressure can? No, you wouldn't want to. In all technicality, you could safely have something safe to eat, but you would never want to pressure can pickles because it would just become yucky mush. First off, I need 10 cups of sliced cucumber. So I'm going to get started on that. We have lots of cucumber here, so let's see what we can do. And in this recipe, we're also going to need 4 medium onions, thinly chopped. So I'm going to get started on that as well. Okay, so we put the cucumbers and the onions in a big bowl, and now I'm going to add half a cup of a pickling salt. So that basically means it doesn't have anything in it, no anti-caking agents, anything like that. It is just salt. I'm adding that to the bowl, and then I'm covering this in cold water and letting it sit for 2 hours. Then we can come back and do some more. So as I was putting that bowl over there, I had decided that I do in fact have enough cucumbers and would like to do another recipe, and this one is going to be dill pickles. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to chop up 10 cups of cucumbers and put it in a bowl. This time, however, I am going to veto onions, no onions in this one, and I'm going to put the 10 cups of cucumbers in a bowl and let that soak for 2 hours as well. Here are our bowls of cucumbers soaking. It is time for a coffee break. As you can see, I got the Breville Express, I believe is the one with the grinder attached. It was something that I was saving for and really wanted, and I finally got it. And let me just say, it is so worth it. If you love coffee, if you're an espresso drinker, it is so good. And I do want to show you the kind of coffee beans I am currently using. This is Organic Vermont Coffee Company, and I drink a decaf, just so you know. Some people might be like, what the heck, why even drink coffee? But I don't drink coffee for the caffeine. I don't like the feeling of when I can actually feel caffeine, like from an espresso. I have drank like regular, just percolated brewed coffee. I don't need to have caffeine free, but with that amount of caffeine, I don't like feel energized from it anyway. I just drink coffee for that warm comfortness. And so it's just part of my relaxed time, part of my like feeling warm and comfortable. But why I recommend this and want you to know, if you drink decaf or you want to make a switch to decaf, perhaps look and make sure you're going for a company that they decaffeinate by Swiss water decaffeination process. A lot of companies, they use chemicals to extract the caffeine from the bean, and I don't know about you, but I'm not cool with that, even if the FDA says it's cool. But with the water method, I believe it's called Swiss water method, they extract the caffeine just by using water. It's a slower process, but some companies do it because they know that's the best way to do it. This company being one of them. I'm sure there's many others, but I thought I would just give a little recommendation while we have some coffee time while we're waiting for our pickles. So we have just a few more minutes left until the pickles are done soaking. Now I already got this filled with water to the fill line, and one of the good things about this Presto electric canner is that you don't just have the ability to pressure can, but you can water bath can in it as well. I will say you can only water bath pints, not quarts, because there's just simply not enough room to cover it with the amount of water needed. But that's fine because I'm just doing pints today. Like I said, the fill line within is already filled up. There, it's all plugged in. I'm going to move it over to a boiling water can. And for these pickles, it's just going to be 10 minutes. So now it says insert jars. You want to fill your jars halfway with water before you insert them. Okay, I put 5 jars in because that is what each individual recipe calls for. So I'm going to do one at one time and the other at a separate time. It also helps me keep track of which pickles are which. Our cover locked. Make sure the pressure gauge is off. Put our lid on. There's our timer for the pickles, and then press proceed. Now this is going to get warmed up, and that was perfect timing because the timer just went off for letting our pickles soak. So what we're going to do with our bowls of pickles is dump it into a colander like this one and strain it and just rinse it with some more cold water. Now first we're going to do our bread and butter pickle recipe. So I have a pot for us to use, and I have the ingredients. I have some white distilled vinegar. Now you want to make sure it says 5% because I know there's been people saying that there's been selling of white vinegar that isn't 5%. Although you can change the way of adding acidity to recipes, you need to make sure it is the correct acidity. It can go over acidic wise, but you can never change it to something of a lower acidity because then it is not safe. So we have that. And then to this recipe I'm adding mustard and turmeric as well as sugar. So on the stove I'm adding 3 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons mustard, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric. So now that we got the stovetop on, we are going to stir this continuously and bring to a boil over medium heat. Once it gets to that, we're going to dump our vegetables in. It has reached a boil, so now we are going to add there. And we're going to make sure I submerge all of this under the liquid, and we're going to bring it back up to a boil with the veggies now in it. So that was brought to a boil with the cucumbers in, and now we have the job. Oh, I love the crows. We have the job of emptying all of these jars, packing them with the cucumber onions, and then making sure the brine comes up until about a ½ inch of headspace. Now that we got them all filled and back in the canner, we're going to add boiling water. I got water boiling on the stove, and we're going to add it till it comes an inch above the top of the jars. Now we are going to put our lid back on and hit continue. And now it's going to begin processing for 10 minutes. Now with my dill pickles, we're going to repeat the same process, just slightly different ingredients. So I have 3 cups of vinegar. This time I'm only going to put 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. And we're going to do 2 tablespoons of mustard, dill seed, and garlic powder. Then just like last time, we're going to get this up to a boil on medium heat. And once that happens, dump in the cucumbers and get that to a boil again at that point. I am trying some of the bread and butter ones now, and they're really good. As you probably saw when I was cutting up my cucumbers, some of them definitely I left on for too long. None of them were to the point of not being good, but I think that's the only thing that would really make the pickles better, is if the cucumbers I used were a little bit smaller. It is now saying 1 minute left of the canning process, but it won't be ready to take out right when it is done. I think it'll give about 5 minutes of cool down, and then we will remove our jars and put them somewhere to sit overnight, and then they'll be good to go. But that's for the bread and butter. After we get the bread and butter all taken care of, that is when I will now do, oh, there it goes. It's letting me know that it is in the cool down. But once we're all set with the bread and butter pickles, that is when we'll get the dill pickles in, and that'll be great. I'm preparing 6 jars this time, because when I did the bread and butter, I only did 5 because that's what it said, but I had 6 jars worth of pickles, and that's okay. I put the rest of the bread and butter in just the same pint container, but I put it in the fridge because we'll eat it. But with the dill, I'm gonna prepare 6 jars and see, we might need them. If we don't, that's fine too. And here is our pickles. We ended up with 6 of the bread and butter, and like I said, I put just 1 in the fridge and didn't can it, and then 5 of the dill. So I'm really happy with that. I'm not like a super pickle lover, so this will last me a really good amount of time. This will last my family a good amount of time. And I'm so very happy with the fact that I grew the cucumbers from a seed into soil that I had prepared and nurtured this plant, and it produced the fruit of cucumbers. And then I was able to reap that harvest and turn it into food storage that will last me a very good amount of time no matter the circumstances. It's just so satisfying. I urge you to look into canning yourself, and if you're going with pickles, for example, you don't need a fancy canner. Water bath canning does not need as expensive of a device. So if you're on a budget of supplies and you don't have any canning supplies yet, you might want to go that route. You might want to look into just water bath canning things first. But I urge you to not be afraid. This is how people stored food for generations and generations, and now we have more knowledge than any of them before on how to do it safely. So if anything, we should be more relieved than ever that we're in this time. Just do your research and be respectful of the skill, just as with any skill, you want to have respect for it, such as carpentry or anything like that. Dangers come with anything. But I think I'm going to leave that video there. I definitely have a lot of cleaning up to do in the kitchen, and I need to get the kitchen cleaned and ready for me to then start dinner. I'm making homemade pizza tonight. But if you like these kinds of videos and think you might want to see more, please consider subscribing, because that just helps me, and it helps me reach more people that might want to learn these kinds of old-fashioned knowledges and skills, and helps build community around like-minded folks who really just want to step away from a lot of things that are being pushed out in modern society. And I think we can all help each other and be there for each other. So that's going to do it for me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye!